So here's an update on the native garden, and I just kind of want to show off a little bit. We've got some good growth actually happening on some things, and I want to think through, just go over a little bit planting into these wood chips. Because we started the other project over there with the wood chips. As you know, I've talked about wood chips a lot over the years. When we put wood chips down in the other main garden over there, we waited like 6 months for in most of those places to start planting anything. And over here, we really just kind of wanted to jump in. And so this is 6 or 8 inches of wood chips, although it's starting to, you know, it's getting eaten now. The soil's really coming to life. And in fact, I planted this hibiscus. This was given to us. We were at the plant symposium this past week and had a longtime viewer who we've known for a while send us home with that and a few other things. It's got some flower buds up on top of it. So excited to see that flower, but when I dug down to plant that, I hit the soil layer and it had been really like hitting a brick at the bottom of these wood chips for a while. It was much better right there, and a couple other things I dug the other day. So I can already see that it's starting to improve a little bit. Now what I did is, there's a little indentation where things are planted. Normally I plant things up big and tall, but I didn't want to plant things up big and tall in these wood chips, because when the wood chips go away, the plant's just gonna be sitting on top of the ground basically, right? So I actually have thinned the wood chips around each plant that's been planted out here, and then planted it to make sure it was down in some soil, and then put a little bit of wood chips back to make it look like, you know, they were planted in the wood chips, but really they're planted down in the soil a bit, and then I'm making sure that I didn't drown them and, you know, bury them in wood chips after. The trees and shrubs are far less sensitive to the nitrogen, you know, to these wood chips stealing nitrogen from them. So overall, none of the shrubs have missed a beat at all. They've just started growing without any problem. The perennials back here a little bit further, I thinned the wood chips out a little bit more because I've seen people put down wood chips and then immediately plant perennials in it, and the perennials really struggle for a little while. But we'll go back here and see that the perennials are not struggling at all. Another exciting one we got today, we were down at Jason Stevens. Griffey's out here with us practicing to be in the garden here. We were down at Jason Stevens this morning filming, and Superior Plants, and he's donated several of the plants that are out here. A couple things we'll see in just a minute. But we were talking about a pawpaw, and Steph's super excited about this. We were in, her dad grew up with pawpaws up in Maryland, and then we were out in Oregon 2 years ago at Isley. Roby, who was in the video there, if you remember the videos from Isley, Roby had pawpaws in his garden in Portland and brought them to the nursery for us that morning. So we got it. Pawpaws don't have a long shelf life, so this is the reason why. They're fantastic fruits, but they're not commercially viable, really. But just a beautiful tree, really. This one's been staked into a single trunk, as you can see here. Sometimes you'll see these. It's just kind of multi-trunk, understory plants. Just brought it home right now. So it's going in this native garden somewhere. We just don't know yet. A lot of these things get pretty big that we bring it in and putting in. We're running out of space for the big things much quicker than we're running out of space for the little things, as you would expect. But we're going to have to make tough decisions at some point, but it should be kind of fun to have a pawpaw as one of the plants. There's a little Joe Pye weed. That's another thing. Longtime viewer who, again, we've seen at the plant symposium and other places over the years, gave us as well. It's about to start flowering. I got that in the ground yesterday. The Persea palustris back here, and palustris just means swampy. A lot of these things are wetland plants. The Persea is starting to bloom, so that's kind of fun. See the flowers up in the top here. Haven't really, there's a couple that have started to open over here, right there. So small yellowish flowers just starting to open, and it appears to be pollinated by a fly. Flies are coming to it. If you see that, I don't know if you will be able to see that, but there's flies all around it. So I'm guessing it is in fact fly pollinated. The button bush, this is a plant that really likes wet feet. Filmed a few of these down at Jason's this morning for a bigger video that's coming pretty soon. But this one, we've got some flowers coming on it. So, you know, this thing with this plant is it needs moist conditions and it needs sun. And sometimes those two things are hard to come by together. But we have both in this particular spot, and here it is with the flowers coming on it. When those flowers start to open, they look alien-like, and pollinators absolutely go crazy for them. This plant has a lot of importance, and if you end up seeing the video, it has a much larger video with a lot of different plants in it. You know, I talk about in that video that this plant's fairly important for pollinators, but it's also important for birds, mammals, deer. There's a lot of animals that take advantage of this plant. Typically grows along stream banks, and I've said this a couple times before, but Steph and I, one time we saw one in bloom, and it was on a little island. We were riding our bikes down a little pathway, and it was behind a fence on a little island. There was one in full flower, and there were little baby alligators swimming around it. It was just kind of an interesting place to see one. Let's see what else. The elderberry hit the ground and just started growing, came into full flower, and as soon as it finished flowering, that thing is going to, you can see sometimes when you put something in the ground that at some point you're going to need to control it some. And that thing has grown 1.5 feet or more, and again, didn't miss a beat. It appears that what I have here is 6 or 7 inches of wood chips, and then I put another inch of hardwood mulch on top of that. So if you were standing here looking at it, you'd think I had buried it in 8 inches of mulch, but I really didn't. I feathered it way out, and I made sure that thing was in good contact with the soil, so as this bark disappears, it will end up slightly mounded instead of in a depression like it is right now. The American Styrax also has hit the ground running. This one, we abused this one a little bit before we got it in the ground. It was flowering when we got it, looked great, and then didn't get it in the ground right away, but it's putting on new growth already. So again, just kind of showing off, nothing's really missed a beat. But this was from a viewer that was dropped off. And I would say, how many things have we actually bought for this ourselves, Steph? I mean, this is probably on the, it's 90, huh?
More the perennials.
Yeah, we bought a few, more of the perennials we bought than the shrubs. But I mean, this was a donation from, that Kevin Paris gave us, this combo. What are you doing? What are you doing, bud? You rubbing your face in the wood chips? So it's a combo of 2 of our native magnolias. That was given to us by Kevin Paris. The Kyananthus was given to us by Jason, right?
Superior plants.
So, yeah. I think that maybe that Zenobia, which was in the other garden over there, Mr. Maple gave us that. Yeah, okay. So that one was like 2 years ago when they sent us that. So, I mean, it's some incredible how people have kicked in and showed off. We had a deer. There's rattlesnake masters blooming. Should be another native I should show off here. We've had some significant weather here in the last week, and the garden looks great, and we're having the open gardens in a couple days from now as we're filming this. The garden looks really great, but there are a few things that have definitely been beat on. I mean, we've had some 30 minutes where the bottom falls out, and some of these full bloomed perennials and annuals, get flattened to the ground just a little bit. And then we have some rabbits chewing on a couple things too. One area I wanted to show off was the come on bud. They're not gonna dig. We're not gonna dig right now. We put the perennials in basically a fenced in area here, which looks odd, I know. But again, we had a little bit of rabbit stuff, rabbit damage going on. So I didn't know which of these individual things might the rabbits eat. So and the other thing is the wood chips are so thick out here, I didn't want to put the perennials in those thick wood chips. So while they are what appears to be planted in wood chips, it's only about this thick. And then they're in soil down below that. Most of these were in small containers. Another reason I couldn't get them down into the ground regardless, if the wood chips were this deep. There's an owl talking in the background. I don't think you guys will be able to hear, but this has turned out to be a pretty good technique considering the situation that we had over here with the deep wood chips and wanting to get started on this. So we're gonna be able to dig these up, divide them out into the garden, spread them out later, and they'll be bigger, better, fuller because of that, and maybe the rabbits will have a little less impact on the few things they'll eat. A lot of these things they won't eat. We've added a few more things since we've talked about the garden over here. I won't remember which one of those we had or hadn't talked about, but so we'll come back around to that once we start putting them out into the garden. There's a Halesia here. What's the variety on this one called? So Silver Splash is the name of the variety. It's a variegated Halesia. I don't think this was just planted the other day, so this is definitely not something we had talked about. This is one we got from Mr. Maple when we were up there giving the talk. The Calicarpa Americana that we moved from the front garden over here, it's still over there. You ain't getting one of these out in one shot. The roots are still over there. It's still coming up. Plus we have seeds over there. This is the white berrying one. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, this is the white berrying one. And look how well this thing responds to being cut hard in the wintertime. It comes back up so full like this. I don't really see any reason. These things will get 12, 15 feet tall if you let them. I mean, I've seen many of them at the coast like that, but I really don't see any reason to let it do that. I just cut the thing down to 18 inches in height. It comes back out full like this. It blooms like crazy. Have pollinators on the flowers. Of course, the birds will take the white berries on them late in the fall. So you really don't see any reason to let it do that. We have some fruit actually forming on the Viburnum nudum this year, so it's gotten pollinated. Not every flower got pollinated, but a good portion of them did. So that will be decorative on the plant as well later on this year. There's a dwarf Viburnum nudum that we've run into a couple times now, and I had it in my talk the other day. It was on the foundation at Dr. Durr's daughter's house. We were down at Athens, Georgia. We've seen it a couple times. I really want that dwarf Viburnum nudum. So this one's gotten 9 feet tall in 3 or 4 years, and those are like this tall in 3 or 4 years. Really going to be a special plant, I think. Rhododendron looks good. The Little King. This is a good thing for people who are coming to the open garden. The river birch, the Little King river birch, the dwarf river birch back here. Jason gave us 6 of them this morning for giveaway. So I think at each of the open garden, Friday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, there'll be 2 of those included in the giveaway. So that river birch is really pretty daggone special. The palm back there still is doing pretty well also. But I mean, obviously this is thin over here in comparison to the main garden, but you can see, I think we've made pretty, considering we just got this contract with the city accomplished. We got the contract with the city accomplished over winter. And then when did we get this first load of wood chips, you think, Steph? I don't even remember at this point. There is a playlist on the channel for this.
February, probably.
Yeah, February, early March. There is a playlist on the channel for this native garden, and I'll include this video in it too, and we'll just show over time how this thing fills in. We keep coming home with big pieces. We keep coming home with big pieces. We leave, we come home with a big piece. Eventually, it's gonna have to be less on the big pieces, more on the perennials being spread out in here, and more on, finding some lower growing shrubs as well. But it's a fun project because the things we're putting out here are interesting, I think. They're not necessarily the same natives you'd go and buy everywhere, which is what we wanted to do. We wanted to expand people's knowledge of native plants and what we could do with them in a space. So that's what we're working on here. So thank you guys for following along with it. We look forward to seeing any of you that are coming on Friday. Don't expect too much from over here, but it's better. I mean, I'm amazed because I really was in the back of my mind going, I've told everybody that the nitrogen stealing thing is overblown in the wood chips. It's slightly overblown. I would not plant annuals in here. I wouldn't be planting my zinnias in here. And I definitely thinned it way down for some of these herbaceous non-woody things back here. But the woody stuff, if you only give it a little, don't put it in this much, but you put it in this much, they don't have any real problem with it. So, I was, again, I've said that all these years, and then I was like, well, I hope I demonstrate this thing that I've said over and over and over again. And this does demonstrate it. Everything out here is just really growing very quickly and responding very well to it. So thanks for following along.